Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we are diving deep into a real clash of the titans in AI video generation. And this isn't just about some cool new tech demos anymore. This is about the industrialization of AI filmmaking. This quote right here, it just nails it. This captures the massive shift that we're seeing. AI video is finally graduating from being a cool party trick to becoming a powerful, reliable tool that creators can actually build entire projects with. So let's set the stage, right? Because the battleground has totally changed. The goal is no longer just making a flashy little 5-second clip. No, the new race is all about being able to orchestrate entire, complex scenes with real cinematic logic. To really get what makes these two models tick, you've got to look under the hood. Their core architectures aren't just slightly different. They represent two completely different schools of thought on how to build a digital world from the ground up. All right, let's break this down. A model's core architecture? Think of it like its DNA. It's the fundamental blueprint that decides everything, what it's good at, what it's bad at, and you could even say it defines its creative personality. And this is where things get really interesting. It's a total contrast in philosophy. Kling 3.0 basically thinks like a film director. Its whole framework is built to understand narrative, storyboards, the language of cinema. But then you have Seedance 2.0, which thinks more like a physicist. It's built on a world model that's obsessed with realism and the physical laws that govern how things move and interact in a scene. And I mean, look at this. It just shows you how ridiculously fast this stuff is moving. But the real headline here, that usability rate for Seedance 2.0, a 90+% success rate on the very first try, that's the metric that takes AI video from being a fun creative gamble and turns it into a reliable industrial-grade tool. Okay, so that's the tech. But what does it actually mean for a creator? When you're in the driver's seat, which one gives you better control as a director? And, just as important, what are their practical weaknesses? With Seedance, you get this insane level of fine-tuned control. They have this universal reference system where you use these @ tags to assign roles to your assets. So you're not just throwing a prompt into the void and hoping for the best. You are literally casting your own images and videos onto a virtual stage and telling them what to do. Kling, on the other hand, takes a totally different approach. It acts more like an assistant director. You give it a really rich, narrative-heavy script, and its intelligent storyboarding brain figures out the camera angles and the cuts for you. So the potential weakness? Less direct, granular control. But its big strength is that it automates a huge part of the cinematic process itself. Yeah, let's just circle back to this number for a second, because wow, this is an absolute game changer. For anyone working in this field professionally, a 90% plus success rate means you stop wasting hours, maybe even days on trial and error, and you just start creating. It completely flips the economics of video production on its head. But all this incredible power? Well, it comes with a pretty serious dark side. And this technology has kicked off one of the biggest ethical firestorms the industry has ever had to face. And the whole thing just blew up into the public eye with the case of Pan Tianhong, who's a really well-known tech blogger. His experience basically became this terrifying real-world stress test for what these models can do to a person's identity. He actually used the word terrifying 6 times to describe what he saw. All it took was a single photo, and Seedance 2.0 was able to generate audio that was almost a perfect clone of his voice. It even rebuilt the parts of his office that you couldn't even see in the picture. And the scariest part? He never, ever consented to any of it. Well, you can imagine the backlash was immediate and pretty intense. It forced Bytedance to pull the feature and add new safety checks, but it also put a spotlight on a major weakness in the whole industry, right? This build it now, figure out the rules later mentality. Releasing technology that can literally change the world before the ethical guardrails are even designed. Now, you'd think a tech leap this big would get the same reaction everywhere, right? Nope, not even close. In fact, it's basically exposed this massive geopolitical divide in how this kind of powerful AI is being handled. Over in China, the reaction was just pure economic excitement. I mean, it set off a huge rally on the stock market. You had media and tech companies just soaring as the country went all in on what it's calling a new efficiency revolution. But in the US, a totally different story, way more complicated. Sure, on the tech side, reviewers were absolutely blown away. You had evaluators calling Kling 3.0 arguably the most capable model on the planet. But all that technical praise has been seriously overshadowed by a whole lot of legal and political anxiety. And really, this slide sums up the whole conflict perfectly. In the US, the reaction is a storm of copyright lawsuits and new laws trying to decouple from Chinese AI. At the very same time, China is flooring the accelerator on commercialization, and it's all backed by a state guided strategy and a, let's say, more lenient view on training data.
So at the end of the day, this whole Kling versus Seedance showdown, it's so much bigger than just tech specs. It's a sneak peek into our future, a future where filmmaking is more accessible than ever before, for sure, but it's also a future where the very meaning of creativity, of personal identity, and of who owns an idea is being completely and probably permanently rewritten.